What is going on, guys? Most NFL teams have that go-to number one running back, but you can never have too many of them in this day and age. It's always good to have 2 or even 3 capable backs who can produce consistently. Unfortunately for several quality running backs, they're stuck on a crowded depth chart and haven't been given the chance to be that reliable and consistent starter. So here are 10 backup NFL running backs who could definitely start if the opportunity ever arrived. Number 10, Jaylen Samuels. Samuels served as a backup to starter James Conner during the 2018 season, but when Conner missed 3 games, Samuels was featured more in the offense. Samuels had a remarkable Week 15 game against the New England Patriots. He dominated them with just 142 rushing yards on just 19 carries, and he had 2 receptions for 30 yards, leading Pittsburgh to a 17-10 record in a defensive slugfest. Samuels was solid again in Week 16 against the New Orleans Saints, recording 53 yards on 12 carries. But Conner returned to the lineup for Week 17 and regained the starting duties. Samuels saw very little action in the following season, with just 66 carries for 175 yards and 1 touchdown. It was rather surprising to see Mike Tomlin make Benny Snell his lead back over Samuels once Conner went down with another injury in 2019. At any rate, Pittsburgh's rushing game simply wasn't there. They had the 4th worst rushing offense in 2019. Of course, Ben Roethlisberger's season-ending elbow injury in Week 2 made it easy for defenses to prioritize stopping the Steelers' ground game. Samuels has some explosiveness and a great set of hands. If he could dominate the Patriots and Saints' stout defensive units, you have to think he could do even more in an expanded role. Unfortunately, that's unlikely to happen with the Steelers. Samuels just has to stay patient and await his chance to shine on another team if Pittsburgh won't give him that opportunity. Number 9, Chase Edmonds. Edmonds was the backup for David Johnson in the 2018 season. A year later, the Arizona Cardinals traded for Miami Dolphins running back Kenyon Drake, who immediately flourished as their new starter. Johnson's struggles made it an easy decision for Arizona to acquire another running back, but they also didn't bother to give Chase Edmonds much of a look, despite some solid outings early in his career. I mean, let's not forget that 126-yard, 3-touchdown performance against the New York Giants in Week 7 of the 2019 season. Edmonds finished his sophomore year with 303 yards and 4 touchdowns on 60 rushes. He finished with an impressive 5.1 yards per carry behind a leaky Cardinals offensive line. Now imagine if Edmonds got a lead role behind a top-tier run-blocking unit. Without a doubt, this guy could start, provided he's with the right team and system that would utilize his talents accordingly. Number 8, Alexander Mattison. The Minnesota Vikings already have a top-tier running back in Dalvin Cook, but they couldn't pass on the opportunity to take Boise State product Alexander Mattison with the 102nd pick in 2019, and Mattison rewarded them nicely with stellar play as a backup in 2019. Though Cook turned in a remarkable campaign for the Vikings, Mattison saw his fair share of action. He picked up 462 yards on 100 carries and scored a touchdown. Mattison averaged 4.6 yards per carry, while Cook finished with 4.5. Who knows? Cook demanded a new contract from the Vikings in the 2020 season and threatened to hold out. That never took place, but if Minnie isn't willing to pay him, perhaps Mike Zimmer will turn to Mattison in the near future. Even if Mattison doesn't get his chance to shine with the Vikings, he should eventually get the opportunity elsewhere. He did all you can ask from a number 2 running back last season, and his best years are clearly ahead of him. Number 7, Jamal Williams. Aaron Jones has been the Green Bay Packers' go-to running back over the last 2 years, but Williams has proven to be a fine complement to the former. Together, these two have formed one of the league's best 1-2 punches in the backfield. Williams' best season came in 2017, which was a lost year for the Packers after Rodgers missed 9 games due to a collarbone fracture. Williams had 564 yards and 4 touchdowns in 7 starts. He has crossed over 400 rushing yards and the 200-yard receiving marks in each of his first 3 NFL seasons. We know Williams is capable of more, but he's just not going to get that chance over Aaron Jones, who had 1,084 yards and 16 touchdowns last year. LaFleur doesn't seem to like the running back by committee approach, which is understandable when you have a guy like Jones. But Williams is too talented to be a number 2 for the rest of his career, and his contract just so happens to run up after the 2020 season. Maybe, just maybe, his next team will give him an opportunity to earn a starting role. Number 6, Tony Pollard. Running back was the least of the Dallas Cowboys' needs at the 2019 draft, but they saw something special in this Memphis star. So Jerry Jones took him in the 4th round with the 128th overall selection. Well, Tony certainly performed well as the number 2 back behind his 2-time rushing leader Ezekiel Elliott. He finished with 455 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns, averaging a superb 5.3 yards per carry. He added 15 receptions for 107 yards and a receiving touchdown. Of course, you figure he'd shine as a number 1 behind behind the Cowboys' elite offensive line. But there's simply no way of replacing Zeke. Dallas gave this guy a 6-year, $90 million extension for a reason. They want to keep building the offense around him. So all Tony can really do is build off his rookie year and produce well when the Cowboys give him the ball. Perhaps he'll garner interest on the trade market. Otherwise, he'll just have to wait for his contract to expire after the 2022 season. It may not be until 2023 when Tony finally gets his chance to be a starter in the NFL. The bottom line is that we know he can excel in a bigger role. Number 5, Kareem Hunt. Some of you may think that Hunt should be higher on this list given that he won the rushing title in his rookie 2017 season. Well, we don't know if he was just a product of Andy Reid's legendary offense that has succeeded with multiple running backs. Hunt had 197 yards and 2 touchdowns on 43 carries with the Browns last season. Solid production, but barring an injury, he's not going to move ahead of Nick Chubb on the depth chart. Chubb clearly won the rushing title in a very down season for the Browns, and you know new head coach Kevin Stefanski will ride him like he did Dalvin Cook last season. Hunt's previous off-the-field troubles will prevent some teams from wanting to take a chance on him, but if he can prove to be a solid number 2 behind Chubb in 2020, another team might give him the opportunity to be their top dog in 2021. Number 4, Matt BREIDA. Matt BREIDA was the lead running back for the San Francisco 49ers in the 2018 season. He led the team with 814 yards in his sophomore season, averaging an impressive 5.3 yards per carry. BREIDA was also impactful in the passing game, recording 27 receptions for 261 yards and 2 receiving touchdowns. Of course, Kyle Shanahan loves to use multiple running backs in his offense. Journeyman Raheem Mostert emerged as the 49ers lead back in 2019, and BREIDA had to split backup duties with Tevin Coleman, who had 544 yards and 6 touchdowns. The crowded 49ers backfield received a bit of space when BREIDA was traded to the Miami Dolphins in the 2020 offseason. However, the Fins also traded for 1,000-yard back Jordan Howard, meaning BREIDA is likely to be second on the depth chart in South Beach. We're sure BREIDA will get his fair share of carries and the chance to move ahead of Howard on the depth chart, but this is the latter's job to lose, given his better track record thus far. We saw BREIDA produce nicely with the 49ers, so even if he's not the starter in Miami, you know he can fulfill that same role elsewhere, is that he can enter free agency in 2021, so he shouldn't have too many issues finding a number 1 role somewhere, if Miami doesn't give it to him. Number 3, Tevin Coleman. Coleman spent the bulk of his 4 seasons with the Atlanta Falcons as the second running back behind Devontae Freeman, but the latter missed all but 2 games in 2018, allowing Coleman to finally step in as a number 1. Simply put, he was more than up for the challenge. Coleman finished the season with a career-high 800 rushing yards, and he added 32 receptions for 267 yards and 5 receiving touchdowns. He signed with the 49ers in 2019 free agency, reuniting with Shanahan, who previously served as Atlanta's offensive coordinator. Despite splitting the role with both Raheem Mostert and the aforementioned BREIDA, Coleman still finished with 724 total yards and 7 touchdowns in 14 games. Seeing that Coleman has succeeded with 2 different teams, it's safe to say that the man is more than capable of being a lead back in the NFL. He proved that in Atlanta, but will he ever get the chance in San Francisco? If not, he just has to keep on trucking and wait for another team to provide it to him. Number 2, Latavius Murray. We've seen Murray excel with 3 different teams, and with a 100-yard season on his resume, there's no doubting that he deserves better than a backup role. Murray enjoyed a breakout season for the Oakland Raiders in 2015, racking up 1,066 yards and 6 touchdowns to go along with 41 receptions for 232 yards. He followed it up with a career-best 12 rushing touchdowns in 2016. Murray spent the next 2 seasons with the Minnesota Vikings, and he performed well as the lead running back in 2017 with 842 yards and 8 touchdowns, helping them reach the NFC Championship game. Dalvin Cook returned healthy in 2018 and took over as the starter, and Murray would later join the New Orleans Saints as a free agent in 2019. Playing behind Alvin Kamara, Murray finished with a respectable 637 yards and 5 touchdowns on 146 carries. Unfortunately for Murray, his chances of ever surpassing Kamara are slim to none. When healthy, the latter's a top 5 running back in all of football, so Murray will have to stay content as a backup in New Orleans for the time being. At 30 years of age, it's unlikely that Latavius ever gets his shot at leading a backfield one more time, but make no mistakes about it, he's proven he can carry that load when needed. Number 1, Gus Edwards. The Baltimore Ravens finished with 3,296 rushing yards in 2019, the most ever for a team in a single season. Of course, MVP Lamar Jackson led the way with 1,206 rushing yards, a single season record for a QB. Veteran standout Mark Ingram led all Baltimore running backs with 1,018 rushing yards and 10 touchdowns. And then there was their number 2 back, Gus Edwards, who racked up 711 yards on 133 carries. carries. Impressive numbers for a guy who received the third most carries on the team. And 1 year earlier, in 2018, he had 711 yards on 133 carries. The Ravens will look to continue their dominance on the ground in 2020, and they added former All-American J.K. Dobbins to help them do just that. The addition of the second-round rookie means Edwards is likely to slide down one more spot on the Ravens running back depth chart, putting him in a battle with 2019 rookie Justice Hill for the fourth most carries on the team, behind Dobbins, Ingram, and Jackson. It's an unfavorable spot for Edwards, who's set to become a restricted free agent in 2021. Lucky for him, at just 25 years old, he still has time to find that starting role elsewhere. What other backup NFL running backs could definitely be starters? Join me in the comment section below. Make sure to follow myself and TPS on social media. We post great content all the time. YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, we're on everything. Go find us, go subscribe, go follow. Of course, subscribe to TPS. We post videos every day. Every day is a new video. Every day, sports content. Every day. Subscribe. And like this video because it helps us out. And then that helps you out because we can still make content for you and you can be entertained. Of course, thank you so much for watching. I'm Jason Biondo. Money.